I think one of the biggest mistakes that people make with puppies in play is they want to make rules too fast, for the vast majority of puppies, right? And so the question is, like, when do I teach a dog to let go of something? So let's say my dog has now started to play tug of war and chase stuff. When and how do I teach him to let go of it, right? And so for the vast majority of dogs when I'm playing, I don't teach them to let go of objects, to out, we would say it, until after they're done teething. They're 6 or 7 months old, at least, before I start to teach them to let go of stuff, right? And the way I get out of stuff before that is that I trade them at the end of something, but I'm not teaching them to let go in play. I want them to want to hold on to the object, right? And for most of our dogs, the out starts later. Now there are precocious dogs that you teach it a little sooner than that, right? And it's based on the intensity with which the dogs are doing things. So my dog that I was playing with yesterday, I taught him to out when he was 12 weeks old, right? But he's freaky. He's not normal. Like, I could bite a tug and I could pick it up and carry him across the yard hanging on it. And he's like, he's really biting it. Like, he's super into it. And so at that point, we teach him to let go. Most puppies, if they're too young and you start teaching them to let go, they lose dedication to the activity. Yeah. Yeah. So one of the others is really sensitive and really compliant. If you do too much control when they're young, then they're always holding themselves back. They're sort of self-inhibiting themselves in terms of their play. And generally speaking, in most cases, it depends on how you do it. It depends a little bit on the dog's temperament. But generally speaking, rule making conflicts with intensity in play, right? So, and if I make a lot of rules right off the bat, then the dog goes, I thought I liked this activity, but it's a drag, right? And so I have to balance that rule making. It's the same, like when I first started in dogs, my very first dog training class was a obedience class at the German Shepherd Dog Club of San Diego when I was 12, right? I got a dog, took the class, and at that time, everybody trained everything with pressure. Everything was 100% choke chain obedience. And the general rule of thumb hanging around all the AKC training circles, the AKC obedience people and stuff, is you never played tug of war with a dog. Like, the whole thing was, don't play tug with your dog. You're teaching them how to bite, and for sure, if you play tug of war with your dog's gonna kill you in your sleep, right? There's no doubt. Like, they say, you can't do this. It's a bad idea. And so, of course, that turns out not to be true, and over time, that attitude changed a little bit. But the next phase of the attitude was, well, okay, you can play tug with your dog, but you always have to win. You have to control the object. They have to let go when you say. They can't play unless you tell them they can play. And at the end, you always get the item and keep it. So you're in control. Well, it is a rare, like unicorn rare puppy that will continue to play with you if you play like that. If you make all those rules right off the bat, the puppy's like, this sucks. I don't want to play this. I thought this was fun, but it is not fun at all. There's way too many rules. And so you have to build some commitment to the activity before you can actually start the rules. And it's different from dog to dog. So what tends to happen is we get our dogs playing, they're playing well, we start to add a little bit of control, and we see how they do with it. If they're responding well, good, we can keep going. If they seem really inhibited after the control, I may need to back off again for a little while, build them back up again, and come back at it again later. And so there may be one dog that I can teach to out when they're really young, and they still play really well. And there's another dog I have to wait until they're 9 months old or a year old or whatever to teach them to let go. And there are certain dogs that you can never be too strict about the control. That's the other thing. This is something that we're not really concerned with in puppyhood, but later on you will. There are certain dogs that if I demand perfect control from them, you won't have the motivation you need. And you see certain dogs in agility and obedience and things like that who are a little reluctant to let go of things. They have what we call bad outs, right? Like very slow to let go of stuff when you want them to. But if you demanded that they out immediately and were strict about that, they'd stop playing. You'd lose their passion. They just can't support it. And so it's a little bit of a puzzle for us. To me, it's one of the interesting things in dog training. Balancing motivation and control is what makes a lot of the things that we do in dog training interesting. They're puzzles. Just getting your dog to be under control is not that hard. Just getting your dog to be crazy is not that hard. Getting both is kind of hard, right? And it's different with every dog. Having a dog that's really wound up to play or do whatever activities and having control of the activities. But it starts in puppyhood. But in puppyhood, we tend to err on very little control of the thing. So I won't out my puppy. When I want to end my sessions, I trade them something else so that there's no conflict over that. Like I'll trade food to get the toy from the very end when I'm finishing the sessions. We do a lot of play with a puppy, encourage it to bring something to us, play with them, encourage it to bring something. In the whole session, a common puppy play session would be me taking out a little toy, waving it around, the puppy grabs it, I tug a little bit, I let the puppy have it, I run from the puppy comes to me, I tug a little bit, I have it, let them have it, I run from them, they come to me, I tug a little bit, I let them have it, I run from them. And I do that 5 or 6 times, and then I put them up. And that was a play session. And what they learned is hold on to this object, bring it to me, and if you bring it to me, the game starts back up again. And so that's common. For the puppies that don't tug, of course, then we'll do a little more chasing stuff first, building chase stuff.